and the significance of that is just too much to go into right now. But the truth is that that would be the way, and then they still party on, okay? And they would go into a special chamber, that house, that room that he would remodel, and they would stay in there for about 24 hours, and there's differing opinions and stuff, but they would stay in there for a while, and that was the beginning of their honeymoon, okay? Now, the best that I know is that for a year, the groom's brothers and father would take care of them, so he didn't have to work. So he could get to know his new bride, because he didn't have much interaction with her prior to. Okay? Now, here's what I read. I wasn't in any of these. I am not Jewish, and I don't know the specifics. But I've read, and here's what I read, is that before the groom and the bride would go in on that Wednesday, the mother of the bride, or brother of the groom, would go in and she'd put a white bedcloth on the bed, chamber, bed. And if there wasn't a spot of blood on that in a 24-hour period after, she, the bride, was taken out and stoned. Okay? But look at the significance that the Jewish religion established in our hearts. And I so value the Old Testament and some of the things that God allowed and implemented into them to bring us to a level of respect for the wedding. Today, it's like, well, I think I'm going to change a wife and get a new car this afternoon. There's just not that respect. When I grew up, man, there was that respect beyond anything we could imagine. You don't even think about that D word. But today, it's just a poor side, and how much society is just pounding into the lives of people, and people make bad choices. And sometimes we're the recipient of them, and that's a shame. But America needs to return. Are they going to return? I don't know. Are we rushing towards the end times? I don't know. But I know it's getting ugly, and it's going to continue to get uglier. Okay? Well, here's the picture, is that Jesus came down to this earth. Amen? And he lived that 30-odd years, and then he, what? He died. He paid the price. As the groom would go to the brides, he paid the price. And now where is Jesus today? He's building you a mansion. You know, there's a thought out there that says the size of your mansion determines directly on how much lumber you set on ahead. Okay? Right? Okay, so this famous preacher dies, he goes to heaven, and you know, the angel escort, whatever those guys are that's going to take us, but probably already know, he's escorting him to his place, and it's like a little 10 by 10 little shack, nice little roof, pretty painting, nice doors, big little flowers on the side, and he goes, holy cow. And he looks down the street, and down there is this huge mansion, right? And he goes, who lives down there? He goes, that little widow in your church that prayed for you every day. So what are you sending on prior to? We're not saved by works, so don't think that we can work our way into heaven. But we certainly can sow crowns into his glory and sow into this kingdom by sharing the truth, the light with others. So Jesus is now building, and when he's done, bam! Here he comes. One day, the dad's just going to look over and goes, Jesus, and Jesus on the right hand, by the way. Okay, so I'm looking at this, okay? And he says to go, hey, son, go get my family. It's time to party. It's time to have a wedding. It's time to have a feast. Go get them. Yeah, and here we go. And in the twinkling of an eye, we're out of here. I think that's 1/18 of a second. Is how fast it takes to blink your eye. That's pretty quick. I don't even think we're going to see a whoosh. I think it's just going to be a gone we are. Jesus has remained separated from his church for over 1900 years. Do you think he wants to be with us? Here's what God asked me to ask the football players if there's a game this Friday. Would you like living with you? That's pretty sobering, isn't it? Would you like living with the person that you are? Would you like living with you? Are you kind? Are you compassionate? If you love the Lord God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, then you're going to be a pretty awesome, nice person to live with. But Christ is coming back for his church. In the fullness of time, Christ came. So there is the wedding. Are you ready? Here we go. John chapter 2, verse 1. It says in God's holy word, here's the wedding that Jesus attended. Okay? On the third day, remember the third day? That was a Wednesday. Now we don't know whether that Wednesday was the third day since the celebration began, or whether it was a reference to the third day when Jesus called Nathanael and Peter and some of the other disciples, okay? But it was on the third day. A wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Now understand where Cana was very close to Nazareth, somewhere between 3 and 5 miles between the two. So literally you could, from a mountaintop, because there's mountains there, you could see both cities or see one to the other, okay? So in Galilee, Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. Yes. I got invited. Woo-hoo. I'm special. No, you're not. You're special because of who God says you are, not whether you're invited to a wedding. Come on, y'all. Come on. That's what makes you special, because God puts his stamp of approval right on you for who you are, not what you do or where you're invited or what somebody else says about you. You know, people are liars, and everything that they say is not true. Oh, they're not special because they were invited to the wedding. Verse 3, when the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, they have no more wine. Oh. You know what John did here? Now, you don't see it. It doesn't pop off the page here. But when John listed, it said on the third day, Cana, Jesus' mother was there. Usually when people list people of importance, he starts with the most important one first. So John emphasizes who first? Mary, Jesus' mother. And then Jesus, and then the disciples. Wow. So it's very true that Mary was either related or in cahoots on a part of this wedding planning. I don't think she was a wedding planner. I think she was related. And there's some theologians that really believe this was John's wedding, because he was a lot younger at this time, and it possibly, I don't know, but it's just a lot of interesting things to think about. But what we do know, Mary had some significant, important place in this wedding. Now, was she the one that invited Jesus, or was it somebody else? I don't know. Verse 4, dear because we see that as a disrespect. But literally, Jesus used that same phrase, that same word on the cross when he said, John, take care of my mom. So there's a compassion. Okay? So don't think that was negative in any way or disrespectful in any way, shape, or form. Dear woman, why do you involve me? That looks negative. It's like, but it's not. Don't go there, okay? My time has not yet come. His mother said to his servants, do whatever he tells you. Man, would I have liked to see that. Here comes Mary to Jesus and goes, Jesus, listen, they're out of wine, dude. And Jesus said, man, it's not my time yet. And she doesn't even pay attention. I mean, she doesn't even answer Jesus. She just goes, hey, servant, whatever he tells you to do, you do it. Is there a little bit of an expectation there? Is there a little bit of a, son, you're going to do what I say. And you can't question that. Children, teenagers, it's a good thing to obey your parents in the Lord, for this is the first commandment with promise, that it may go well with you. And that word you is me. Okay? And here's something for you. When does that ever stop? Well, I'm this age, I'm that age, I'm older now. I don't have to go, oh, baby. Don't disrespect your parents. Let's go on. Nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind they used by the Jews for ceremonial washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servants, I just like that, I'm sorry. I'm just having a real fit up here. I'm just thinking that's just so cool. Mary just says, Jesus, they're out of wine. Do whatever he says. And walks off. I mean, doesn't even discuss it. Just walks off, okay? So they find these jars. They're sitting right by the door. Jesus said to the servants, fill the jars with water. So they filled them to the brim. Here's what's really cool about that. These jars probably were sitting right by the front door. So when somebody came in, they would take water out and wash the people's feet. But then also, during the meal, during the dinner, they would come and they would hold their hands up like this and they would pour the water down so that it would run off, ceremonial cleansing their hands. And then they would hold them like this and then do the same thing again. So those were common, everyday, ordinary jars made of clay. Did you get that? I hope you got that. Because what are you made out of? Back when I first got saved, I was valued at $3.87. That's how much minerals was in me. If they melted me down, that's what would come out. That's my value. But then God got hold of me. God got involved. Just that ordinary clay jar filled with water. Let's go on. Then, fill them to the brim. Then, he told them, now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet. They did so, and the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. What? He did not realize where it had come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. Oh, there's a whole message right there. Then he called the bridegroom aside, and he said, everyone brings out the choice wine first, and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink. But you have saved the best to last. This, the first of his miraculous signs, Jesus performed at Cana in Galilee. He thus revealed his glory. He what? He thus revealed his glory. And what happens when we reveal the glory of God? The disciples put their faith in him. jar, an ordinary, everyday clay jar with some water in it, showed the glory of God? Out of you shall flow rivers of living water. Well, drunkenness was very, very, very a no-no. You didn't get drunk, especially at a wedding. You might have got a little happy. One of the rabbis that was writing back then said, no wine, no joy. Okay. And I don't know about y'all, but when somebody needs something to make them happy, that breaks my heart. It really does. Well, let's all go out and we'll have a good time. Let's celebrate a birthday, and it has to include alcohol. There's been people here that wanted to rent the fellowship hall to use it for a reception, and when I tell them, sorry, no alcohol, okay? Okay? Why don't we use alcohol when we, real wine? Because if there's someone in here that's battling through that, we don't want to cause them to stumble. Okay? And so, wow. And they would mix the wine. It would be 2 parts wine, 3 parts water. So it wasn't full strength. So it was even watered down then. And I would guess that as the wedding went on, a little more water, a little less wine. But then here, when Jesus turned the water into wine, we see a miraculous thing, process, miracle take place. Oh, wow. What do you think those servants were thinking? If I'm a servant, I'm like, hey, I'm good with let's fill the water jar, man. Yeah, man, here we go, man. This is all right. Here's the front door. Oh, that one's full. Let's get you. And so they filled all the jars. And then Jesus said, now take some water out of there, dip it out, and take the cup to the master. So here's the question. Are you ready? When they filled the jugs, did it turn to wine? When they dipped the water out and put it in the cup, did it turn to wine? Was it their faith as they went with that cup to the master that it turned into wine? Or was it when the water touched the lips of the master that it turned into wine? God's word doesn't tell us. You have to make your own choice. You have to make up your own decision. At what point in that whole thing, the servants walked by faith, not by sight. Who knew what was in those jars? The servants and Jesus. Nobody else knew. Are you willing to walk over there and go, man, I just put this water in there. What do you mean take it to the man? Are you nuts? Because walking by faith sometimes look a whole lot like nuts. Crazy. Lost your marbles. Especially your big one. So when? What if the water had not turned to wine, and here comes the servants and go, hey, we got more wine here, and hand it to the master, and the master goes, that tastes like washed feet, or dirty hands. Boy, would they have freaked out with coronavirus, huh? If you've never been to a third world country, and you want your heart broken, 2 of the most amazing events in that process is when we went to El Salvador. We were doing, going into the schools and doing dramas for the kids and then leading them to Christ. We were at this one school way up the mountain. It took us an hour and 20 minutes up a rocky road. I mean, it was like, oh, there's the daylights. And we got there, and these kids, there was two sessions. There's one group that came from 8 to 12, another group came from 12:30 to 4:30. And of course, after that trip, I went to use the restroom. The restroom, folks, was a building that was probably about 12 to 14 feet wide. And it was a door over here and a door over there. And as you walk in, there was a half a clay pipe running along this wall. That was it. That was their bathroom. There was no fresh running water. There was no toilets or urinals. There was no stalls. That was it. Just half a pipe for everything that you needed to do while you were at school. Here's where the sad part comes in. As you leave that building, after taking care of the necessities, there's a 55-gallon barrel of water here that you wash your hands in as you walk out. Everybody uses the same barrel. Don't you dare complain. Don't you dare complain. I'm out of toilet paper. I wonder if toilet paper lasts in the freezer for 10 years. That's what some people were thinking. When we get so prideful and so arrogant, remember the children in El Salvador, that was their bathroom. Oh, my air conditioner's broke. What if the water had not turned to wine? Last month we looked at John chapter 8, verse 12. When Jesus spoke, how many of y'all would love to hear the voice of Jesus this morning? Plain, everyday, every week water. Wine. Words from my mouth. Are they the words of life when they hit your ears? Is there a miracle happening between my mouth and your ears, as there was in that process of those servants being obedient? When Jesus spoke, he said, I am the light of the world. Those who follow me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. He didn't say you have an ever-ready flashlight. He said you have the light of life. Those are words of life that have been written down in his manual for success. His words of truth. When they come off that page, they're just words until they turn into life within inside. Who makes that decision? You do. Well, what is faith? Those guys that picked up that water had to have faith. In Matthew chapter 13, verse 23, it says this, and the one on whom seed was sown on good soil, this is the man or woman who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit and brings forth some 100, some 60, and some 30. Faith without corresponding action is dead. James 2:26, as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without deeds is dead. On the night Jesus was betrayed, he met with his disciples and gave to them the gift of the meal of remembrance. We're invited, you're invited to enjoy, to partake in that meal this morning. Today, we come to this table, the table of remembrance, and we're going to remember His Word. And is there a miracle going to take place? Is there just water in these cups, or is there wine in these cups? Whew. You have no idea how I wanted to fill these cups and ask Jim and Gail to just put water in them, and there be a miracle. Because when the Word of God goes forth, the miracle happens in transit. So when did the miracle happen with the water turning to wine? When does the miracle happen? When you heard words of life and it became life within inside of you, and you knew Jesus was the way, the truth, and the life, and you surrendered to the Lordship of Christ with your whole heart. So we come to the table of remembrance. And I would encourage you to remember the miracle of the water, the wine. There's going to be 4 gentlemen come forward, and they're going to stand across here. I'm going to ask you, if you come down the middle, and you go out this way, and you come down, just try to be orderly. We don't want to, we just want to be cautious and careful of interacting with people. So, gentlemen, if you would come now, please. You would come forward this time. Before we partake of this element, I'm going to ask you to take a moment, because of what God's Word instructs us, that if there's anything in your heart that has caused any kind of separation between you and your Father, maybe you and your wife, or you and your husband, you and your children, confess that, because He is faithful, and He is just. Not just to say, okay, sorry, it's good enough, but to cleanse you from all unrighteousness. You would bow your heads, if you want to look at the seas, whatever you want to do, you just take a moment right now and say, Father, I lay my life, I open my heart, examine my heart to see if there be any wicked way. Paul, who loved the church of Corinth, wrote to them and gave them this instruction. For I received from the Lord what I also passed on to you. The Lord Jesus, on the night he was betrayed, took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and said, this is a representation. This is my body, which is broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me. Lord Jesus, we remember what you have done for us. And so we remember what this signifies, your body. Hold a miracle in your hand. This could be the miracle of salvation. It could be the miracle of healing. It could be the miracle of restoration. What is it for you? Is it water or is it wine? You'll make that choice by faith. Same way, after supper, he took the cup and established the new covenant. This is my blood shed for you. Do this in remembrance of me. Whenever